Hey VC, Joe coming at you once again with a new batch of vinyl finds. And I swear, this week I said I'm not going to buy any more records. I'm not. I got enough last week to last me. But, as is often the case, I find myself in the vicinity of the Salvation Army or the Goodwill or my favorite local record store that has the Great Bargain Bin. I'm just gonna stop. I'll look just to make sure there's nothing new. And of course, the sickness. And here's the result. Um, from just those quick, I'm not gonna stop. Now imagine if I had said I'm gonna look for records today, what I would have come home with. So I've got a great batch of new stuff to show you. Most of these, again, 50 cents to a dollar, which is what I prefer to pay. But I'll start with one that was a little bit more, but friends, I did a bad thing, and I need you to commiserate with me and forgive me for this because um, I happened to run across this album, which is one that I had in my old collection that I've been looking to replace. It's the 1973 self-titled Ringo album by Mr. Starr, and this is really a fantastic album. It's one of his best, and I love this album. And of course, it was destroyed in my last collection, but I found it again, and look at this sticker here. It says two records. Now, as anyone who knows this album knows, this is not a two record set, okay? It is a gatefold, which could make someone perhaps think that it's a two record set, but this is sealed, and there's one LP here, and there's also a very nice booklet that is in here as well, the complete little booklet, which I'll show you real quick. Just it's got all the lyrics, and each lyric is set of lyrics is accompanied. But I told you I did something bad. Well, why did I do something bad? Well, here's the deal. I bought this at my flea market, the one that's open Friday and that's open Saturday, not just Sunday. And the guy had this, he had a few records, and he had this one, and he had the two record sticker on it, and I kind of said, oh, this actually only has one record in it. And my intention was to educate him so that if he finds himself with this again, or if he finds someone else selling, if he's going to sell this record to someone else, it's not actually two records. So he looked at it and he said, oh, there's only one record in there. I'll give it to you for half price then. I said, well, that's not what I'm fishing at, but all right. So he had it marked $4, which actually was already a reasonable price, and I got it for two. And vinyl is beautiful. The book is beautiful. So, I say I did a bad thing. I kind of took advantage of his ignorance to score myself a half-price Ringo album. But is that really that bad? Shouldn't you know what you're selling? That's kind of how I feel. So I don't really feel too bad about it. But found some interesting things here at the Goodwill, and I don't usually find a lot of good stuff there, but I actually found three tribute albums to President Kennedy. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, a memorial album. Here is That Was the Week That Was, the BBC's tribute, and John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the presidential years 60 to 63, right? Yeah. And, I'm kind of a history buff, and I thought these might be very interesting to listen to. I don't know that I'm going to want to spin those over and over, and maybe I'll keep them and maybe I won't, but I just thought, for, 50 cents each, I thought they'd be interesting at least to hear once. So, I don't know, were those good finds? Would you have picked those up? Let me know. But I did actually find some real toe tappers here. How about two albums by Prince, including the ubiquitous Purple Rain? But I didn't have it, and 50 cents, and it's a really nice copy. And I see a lot of people sell this on Discogs for like 7, 8, 10, 15 bucks. So happy to have this. I had it on CD back in the day, but never had it on vinyl. Though my cousin did, and I used to play his copy a lot when I go to visit him. And here's a much rarer Prince album. Here's Dirty Mind, which is one of his very early ones. It might even have been his first one. I'm not sure. 1980. So no, this probably was not his first one, but an early one. And, I don't really know too much on here except the title track, which I've heard. And, yeah, I don't think I know any of the other songs, but 50 cents, I enjoy Prince, so why not? Here is a Ray Charles album I picked up, Portrait of Ray, and it's got Eleanor Rigby on it, Beatles track. And I don't know too many of these other, maybe you all might know some of these songs that are on it. I don't know too many of these, except Am I Blue I've heard, but not his version. So this might be more kind of standards music rather than his R&B and blues, and I haven't dusted or cleaned those, so like I'm trying not to sneeze now because there's dust coming off those covers. I gotta clean those up. Here's a nice copy of It's Hard by The Who, one of their later albums, in fact their last album before their breakup. Had this on cassette back in the day, and I actually like this more than a lot of people do. It's got Eminence Front and Athena on here, both very, very good tracks, late Who tracks that I like a lot. And yeah, glad to have that again. Found a less than pristine but quite acceptable copy of Layla and Other Love Songs by Derek and the Dominoes, which is Eric Clapton. Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs, rather. This is a double LP with the gatefold. And this cover, this second LP, is split here on the cover, so I'm going to have to see if I can glue that. And in fact, the LP itself is over on the bed because it fell out when I was bringing the records over. So, needs some cleanup. I don't know if you can see. It's some scuffing, some dusting, but I think it'll probably be a good player. And then just to show you my wide variety, had to bring home Herb Alpert and Tijuana Brass, SRO. I used to be the guy who'd make fun of Herb Alpert and Tijuana Brass whenever I'd see their records because, quite frankly, they look dorky. But I did pick up, a few months ago, I finally got Whipped Cream and Other Desserts and Going Places. And you know what? I love both of those albums. I like them a lot, in fact. So, yeah, I'll pick up Herb Alpert when I see him now, if it's one I don't have. At least until he disappoints me, which so far he hasn't. Here's a compilation I don't know much about, but it's the golden era of Dixieland jazz, 1887 to 1937, if I'm reading that correctly. Yeah, I don't know much about what's on here. I noticed that they make a big deal out of pointing out that a lot of the tracks here are public domain over in this box. So, I don't know too many of the names. You do have Milt Hinton on bass. I know that name. There's Pee Wee Irwin on trumpet, Buster Bailey on clarinet, and so forth. I don't know. This will be a fun listen, and hopefully I like it. I know I like Dixieland jazz, so I hope that's a good compilation. And then, as I've mentioned before, when you have a wife who tolerates you buying records as often as I do, you got to get something that she's going to like too. And frankly, I love this album too. This is my third copy of this album. I had it in my original vinyl collection. I also have it on CD, and now I've got it on vinyl again. And still got the original shrink on it, though it's not sealed. It looks to be in very good shape, though. And guys, because I'm hip with the music, let me tell you, I discovered this great new band. Much too hip for you guys, you won't know it yet, but keep an eye. I think these guys are going places here. Hotel California, it's a LP by a band called The Vultures or something about birds. I think they've got a bright future ahead of them. Nice gatefold there. Just kidding. Of course, everyone knows this album. Amazingly, I didn't have it, and I don't even think I had it then. I had Greatest Hits Volume 1 and 2 in my previous collection, but I don't think I actually had this album, which is crazy because I love this cover. And it's not like this is a rare record. You see it all the time. But I finally picked it up at the right price. And there is a sensational song on here. What's it called? Try and Love Again. For my money, the best song on the album, and it's one of the very few tracks on the album that wasn't a hit single. So I could listen to that song all day long. So spin up your copy of Hotel California and play Try and Love Again for Joe today, because it's just great. Here is Pretenders album I didn't have. This is the third Pretenders album that I have. I don't know if it's their third album, but it's the third one I have. And I like this little hype sticker here. The song Precious contains language which may be unsuitable for radio airplay. Well, hell yeah, that's why I had to have it. And here's the rear cover there. My screensaver kicked in again. I'm turning that off. Now I can see myself. Oops, there's the tracks. Whoops. I hate everything being reversed, I tell you. So that'll be a nice find. And look, my first Rolling Stones LP in Collection 2.0. The very common but still very stylishly designed Through the Past Darkly Big Hits Volume 2. Of course, it's the gatefold. A lot of good hits on here, as you can see. Hopefully you can see. I don't know what I'm showing you because of this reversed nature. Yeah, there we go. Paint It Black. All kinds of good stuff on there. 3,000 Light Years from Home, one of my favorite lesser-known Stones tracks. Vinyl is not pristine, but pretty good. It's on the original London. The usual dusty flea market kind of condition. And then 2 Moody Blues records, and I've been surprised how long it took me to actually find this. I remember when I had my original vinyl collection, I used to see this album every time I went shopping for records. It was kind of a running joke. And then this is the first time I've seen it since I got back into collecting a few months ago. So this was 50 cents. I put the sleeve on it. That wasn't on there already. And I'm starting to do that thing a lot of the VC people do now, where you put your records behind in a sleeve. I think that's kind of neat, and I'm kind of doing that now as I bag stuff. And then when I got another Moody Blues for the same price, here's Every Good Boy Deserves Favor. I always love these Moody Blues album covers. They're so gripping. You know, like there's a story in every one of these pictures. All their covers are so good. And this is another good one. Of course, The Story in Your Eyes is a phenomenal track. One of my favorites, actually. Band I love. I got 2 by the Alan Parsons Project today. Well, not today. Since we last talked. Here's Ammonia Avenue, which I think is from 1984. Not one of their best known albums, but still quite good. A little bit synth heavy, as it was typical in the early 80s, but here is the one to get right here. I, Robot. Love this album. Had this in my original collection. Very happy to have it again. And this is one of those albums that gets singled out, along with many Alan Parsons Project records, as being one of the best sounding LPs of all time. So it's really well engineered. I have some other Alan Parsons as well. Really big fan of the Alan Parsons Project. I even have on CD some of the Alan Parsons solo albums, which isn't the Alan Parsons Project basically a solo project, so I don't know. And the last thing I got in this batch was a very nice copy of Green River by Creedence Clearwater Revival. There is a tear here on the cover, which is disappointing. But boy, you got some good stuff on here. Green River, Wrote a Song for Everyone, Bad Moon Rising, Lodi, Commotion. A lot of good tracks on here, and I like the cover as well. Very evocative. I always have enjoyed their covers. Really a sense of just being out on the bayou. And look at that dobro that Fogerty's got there. That shit-eating grin. So, yeah, that's the last one in this batch. So, very, very nice haul over a couple of quick visits to the thrift stores and the bargain bin in my local record store. Just the Ringo album, I think, was the only one I paid more than $1 for, and I got that half price for $2 instead of $4. So, and a lot of those were 50 cents. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, a lot of records that I want, I know I could go online and buy them immediately on eBay or Amazon or Discogs for $10 or whatever, but it's just so much more rewarding to come across them in the wild for 50 cents or $1. And, if you're patient and it's not something super obscure that you're hoping for, eventually you can probably find it, and that's part of the fun. So, all right, I'll go ahead and close out for now. Thanks for watching.